Ma'am, you don't have clearance for that board. Step back. The briefing room at Joint Special Operations Command goes silent. 15 senior officers freeze mid-conversation, coffee cups suspended in air, eyes locked on the woman holding a cleaning rag against the tactical map. The fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting hard shadows across her face as she continues wiping the board in slow, deliberate strokes. Colonel Marcus Brennan stands at the head of the table, his jaw set like granite, salt and pepper hair cropped military tight, command pins glinting on his collar. He's the kind of officer who expects instant compliance, the kind whose career has been built on men snapping to attention when he enters a room. The woman doesn't snap, doesn't flinch. She completes her stroke across the grid coordinates, removes a smudge from the corner of Sector 47, then finally turns. Her movements are measured, controlled, the kind of control that comes from somewhere deeper than basic training. "Get us coffee instead," Major Derek Klein adds from his seat, leaning back with the casual cruelty of a man who's never been challenged. His eyes are sharp, calculating, the kind that inventory people and find them wanting. Something you can handle. Laughter ripples through the room. Not loud, not aggressive, just the easy mockery of men comfortable in their certainty that they're untouchable. A lieutenant colonel adjusts his glasses, smirking. A captain near the window shakes his head, returning to his tablet. The woman sets down her cleaning supplies with deliberate care. Her civilian admin clothes are plain, forgettable, gray slacks, white button-down, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Nothing about her suggests she belongs in this room full of classified briefings and combat deployments. Nothing except the way she breathes. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. Sergeant Major David Hayes catches it. 60 years old, 3 decades in force recon, a face carved from experience and loss. He's seen that breathing pattern before, seen it in operators who've learned to control their heart rate under fire, who've mastered the art of staying calm when the world is trying to kill them. His eyes narrow slightly, tracking her as she moves toward the supply closet, but he doesn't speak, not yet. The briefing resumes. Brennan taps the tactical map, his finger landing precisely on a border region marked in red. Phase 2 begins at 0600 tomorrow. Air support confirmed. Ground teams staged at checkpoint Bravo. We're expecting light resistance based on current intel. Current intel that's 3 days old, someone mutters. Which is why we adapt in real time, Brennan snaps back. His authority fills the room like a physical presence. 28 years of service, 2 stars pending, a career trajectory that tolerates 0 deviation from the plan he's set. Any questions? The woman returns from the closet, carrying a fresh marker. She approaches the board again, and this time Hayes notices something else. The way she grips the marker, not like someone who cleans offices, like someone who has briefed operations. Thumb aligned with the barrel, 3 fingers supporting, wrist locked, at exactly the angle taught in tactical training. She reaches up to correct a smudged coordinate, and her sleeve shifts. Just 2 centimeters. Just enough for Hayes to catch a glimpse of something dark against her skin. Not a bruise, not a shadow. Ink. His coffee cup stops halfway to his mouth. The woman pulls her sleeve down immediately, smoothing the fabric as if nothing happened. When she steps back from the board, her posture shifts into something Hayes recognizes instantly. Parade rest. Perfect parade rest. Feet shoulder-width apart, hands clasped behind her back, weight distributed evenly, eyes forward but seeing everything. It's unconscious, automatic. The kind of muscle memory that gets burned into you through 10,000 repetitions until your body defaults to it whenever authority speaks. Brennan doesn't notice. He's already moving on, discussing logistics with Klein, but Hayes notices. And now he's watching her with the intensity of someone who's just realized the cleaning lady might be the most dangerous person in the room. If you've ever felt invisible in a room full of power, you know what's coming. Hit, like if you want to see how silence becomes the loudest weapon. The woman doesn't interrupt. She finishes her work, gathers her supplies, and moves toward the door with steps that make no sound on the tile floor. But as she passes the tactical map one final time, Hayes hears her voice. Barely a whisper, just 6 words. Grid 479er, not 48. She's corrected a coordinate that 17 intelligence analysts and 4 senior officers have been staring at for the past 30 minutes without catching the error. A single-digit transposition that would have sent ground teams 2 kilometers off target into a known hostile zone. Hayes glances at the map, checks his own notes. She's right. Perfectly, precisely right. The kind of right that comes from someone who's read tactical maps in the field, who's translated coordinates while bullets are flying, who knows the difference between Grid 479er and 48 isn't academic. It's the difference between mission success and body bags. He opens his mouth to say something, but the woman is already gone. The door closes with a soft click behind her, leaving only the faint smell of industrial cleaner and a room full of officers who have no idea what just happened. Brennan erases the board without checking the coordinate. Klein pulls up a procurement spreadsheet. The briefing continues. And Hayes sits there, staring at the space where she stood, his mind churning through possibilities he doesn't want to consider. Because if she knows what she knows, if she moves like she moves, if she breathes like she breathes, then she's either the most overqualified janitor in military history, or she's something else entirely. Something that shouldn't be possible. Something that, according to every official record he's ever seen, died 3 years ago in a classified operation that no one talks about. The fluorescent lights flicker once, casting brief shadows across the tactical map. In Sector 479er, a small red X marks the location where 11 operators went silent on a mission that was supposed to be routine, where intelligence failed, backup never came, and equipment malfunctioned at exactly the wrong moment. Hayes knows those coordinates by heart. He was supposed to be on that operation, would have been, if a training accident hadn't grounded him for 3 weeks. 11 operators went in, 0 came back, and the official report called it a tactical success. He looks down at his coffee, suddenly unable to drink it. Outside the briefing room, through the reinforced glass window, he can see the woman walking down the corridor. Her pace is steady, unhurried, giving nothing away. But just before she turns the corner, she stops, adjusts her collar, and for one brief second, her hand rests against the side of her neck where the shirt has ridden up slightly. Hayes sees it clearly this time, a scar, thin, jagged, running from just below her ear down toward her collarbone, the kind of scar that comes from shrapnel, from an improvised explosive device detonating close enough to kill but missing by inches, the kind of scar that gets you a Purple Heart and a medical discharge, or the kind that gets you listed as killed in action when it's more convenient than the truth. The woman disappears around the corner, and Hayes makes a decision. After the briefing, he's going to pull some files, make some calls, because if she is who he's starting to think she is, then everything about the past 3 years has been a lie. And if everything has been a lie, someone in this room is responsible. His eyes shift to Brennan, who's still talking, still commanding, still absolutely certain of his authority. Then to Klein, who's scrolling through procurement records with the casual efficiency of someone who's done this 1,000 times. Both men look completely at ease. Both men have everything to lose if the truth comes out. Hayes sets down his coffee cup with deliberate care and returns his attention to the briefing. But he's not listening anymore. He's calculating, planning, wondering if the ghost he just saw is about to become very, very real. 3 hours later, the briefing room has cleared. Officers have dispersed to their respective units, preparing for tomorrow's operation. The tactical map still shows the wrong coordinate. Brennan never bothered to verify the woman's correction. The lights have been dimmed. The door is locked. But the woman returns. She doesn't use a key, doesn't need to. The electronic lock clicks open at her touch, bypassing security protocols that are supposed to be ironclad. She slips inside, closes the door behind her, and moves directly to a filing cabinet in the corner that no civilian administrator should know exists. Inside that cabinet are the real briefing notes, the ones that don't make it into official reports, the ones that document what actually happened versus what gets recorded for congressional oversight. She finds what she's looking for in under 2 minutes, a procurement report dated 3 years ago, signed by Major Derek Klein, night vision equipment, 60 units ordered, 40 delivered, quality assurance marked as passed, despite the equipment being sourced from a secondary contractor with no military certification. That equipment was issued to her unit, to the operators who walked into Sector 479er expecting to see in the dark, and instead found themselves blind when the ambush came. 11 deaths attributed to tactical miscalculation. 0 accountability for the gear that failed at the exact moment it was needed most. She photographs the document with a phone that has no brand marking, no service provider, no digital footprint. Then she returns the file exactly as she found it, locks the cabinet, and leaves. The next morning, she's back in the briefing room before anyone else arrives, cleaning the windows, emptying trash cans, being invisible in the way that only the truly seen know how to be. Lieutenant Colonel Shaw arrives first, carrying a tablet and wearing the expression of someone who hasn't slept. He's the base's chief of security, responsible for access protocols, surveillance systems, and making sure unauthorized personnel don't get anywhere near classified operations. He glances at the woman, does a double take, then stops. Wait, who authorized you for this room? She continues wiping the window, her movement steady. Facilities maintenance, sir. Daily cleaning schedule. I don't remember approving overnight admin access. Shaw pulls up his tablet, scrolling through security logs. His frown deepens. Your badge number, what is it? She recites it without hesitation. 9 digits, correct format, delivered in the flat tone of someone who's said it 1,000 times. Shaw checks his screen. His frown becomes confusion. This badge was issued 3 weeks ago, but there's an anomaly flag on the account. It says, Temporary admin access for facilities maintenance. Authorized under DOTU Regulation 5200.2R, Section 4.3. Yes, sir. She finishes the window and moves to the next one. Shaw stares at her, then at his screen, then back at her. The regulation exists. It's legitimate, but something about this feels wrong. The access is too clean, too perfectly documented, too conveniently aligned with protocols that are rarely invoked and even more rarely checked. Where did you serve? The question comes out before he can stop it. She pauses, rag suspended against the glass. For 3 seconds, she doesn't move, doesn't breathe. Then she turns, and Shaw finds himself looking into eyes that are completely calm and completely empty of anything he can read. Nowhere that's on record, sir. The door opens. Brennan enters, followed by Klein and 4 other senior officers. The moment breaks. Shaw closes his tablet, but he doesn't look away from the woman. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. But he can't articulate what it is, can't point to any specific violation, can't justify detaining someone who has legitimate credentials and has done nothing except clean a briefing room. Brennan doesn't even glance at her. He moves directly to the tactical map, pulling up overnight intelligence updates on the mounted display screen. Gentlemen, we have a complication. Ground Team Alpha reported unusual radio traffic in Sector 4-8, approximately 0300 hours. The woman is wiping down the conference table now, working her way around the seated officers. Her movements bring her close to Klein, who shifts his chair back slightly, as if she might contaminate him with her presence. Can you not do this while we're briefing? Klein's voice drips with irritation. We're discussing classified operations. My apologies, sir. She starts to gather her supplies. Actually, better idea? Klein leans back, crossing his arms. Get us coffee. There's a pot in the break room. Black for the colonel. The rest of us take it how we take it. You can figure it out. Someone snickers. Shaw doesn't. He's still watching her face, looking for any crack in the facade, any hint of anger or humiliation or emotion. He finds nothing. Just that same careful control, that same measured breathing. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. Of course, sir. She leaves the room. Hayes arrives 30 seconds later, taking his usual seat near the back. His eyes immediately scan the room, looking for the woman. When he doesn't see her, his shoulders relax slightly, but then he notices the cleaning cart by the door, the half-finished work, and tension returns to his frame. Sergeant Major, good of you to join us. Brennan doesn't look up from the display screen. I assume you reviewed last night's intelligence summary? Yes, sir. I have concerns about the... Your concerns are noted. Brennan cuts him off with the ease of someone who's done it 100 times. We're proceeding as planned. The radio traffic was likely atmospheric interference, nothing that changes our operational timeline. Hayes wants to argue, wants to point out that atmospheric interference doesn't generate coded burst transmissions, wants to mention that Sector 4-8 is exactly where the woman said not to send teams. But he's learned over 3 decades that sometimes you save your ammunition for when it counts. The woman returns carrying a tray with 7 coffee cups. She moves around the table with the precision of someone who served in more formal circumstances, setting each cup down without making a sound. Black for Brennan, cream and sugar for the captain by the window, plain for Klein, who doesn't acknowledge her beyond a dismissive wave. When she reaches Hayes, she sets down his cup, and their eyes meet for half a second. He sees something flicker across her expression. Not fear, not anger, recognition maybe, or warning. Then it's gone, and she's moving to the next officer, and Hayes is staring at his coffee wondering if he imagined it. She finishes serving and returns to her cleaning cart. Shaw watches her load supplies, his hand resting on his tablet. He's going to run a deeper background check, going to pull security footage, going to figure out who this woman really is, because his instincts, honed through 15 years of counterintelligence work, are screaming that something is off. "Ma'am, I need to see your identification." Shaw stands, his voice carrying authority but not hostility. "Security protocol, random verification." The room goes quiet. Brennan glances up, mildly annoyed at the interruption. Klein looks interested now, leaning forward slightly. The other officers watch with the detached curiosity of people who are about to witness someone else's problem. The woman reaches into her pocket and produces a badge. Military-grade laminate, holographic seal, her photograph alongside basic identification data. Shaw takes it, scanning the barcode with his tablet. The system chirps. Green verification, everything checks out. Except, "This badge shows you were issued temporary access 3 weeks ago, but I don't have any requisition forms in the system. No department head signature, no clearance verification beyond the basic automated approval." Shaw's voice remains professional, but his eyes are hard. "Who authorized your placement in this facility?" "Facilities management, sir. The request came through standard channels." "Which manager? What office?" "I can provide the documentation, sir. It's in my—" "Now." Shaw's tone sharpens. "I want the name now." She looks at him steadily, and for the first time Hayes sees something shift in her body language. Not panic, not submission, something else, like a weapon coming off safety. "Sir, I'm authorized to be here. If there's an issue with the paperwork—" "The issue is that I don't know who you are." Shaw steps closer. "I don't know where you came from. I don't know who signed off on your access, and I don't like unknowns in my facility. Do you think she'll stay silent, or is this the calm before the storm? Drop a comment with your guess." Brennan sets down his coffee with deliberate force. "Lieutenant Colonel Shaw, is there an actual security concern here, or are you grandstanding?" "Sir, I'm following protocol for unauthorized—" "She has a badge. You scanned it. It verified. Unless you have evidence of an actual breach, you're wasting everyone's time." Brennan's voice carries the weight of someone who's decided this conversation is over. "Ma'am, you're dismissed. Lieutenant Colonel, sit down. We have an operation to finalize." Shaw doesn't sit. He's staring at the woman, who has already gathered her cart and is moving toward the door. His tablet chirps again, and he glances down at the screen. His face goes pale. "Sir, I need to—" "Dismissed, Lieutenant Colonel." Brennan's tone brooks no argument. "That's an order." Shaw sits, but his hands are shaking slightly as he types into his tablet, pulling up deeper system logs, following a data trail that should end at a facilities management office, but instead branches into authorization codes he's never seen before. Codes that predate his tenure at this base. Codes that have clearance levels above his access grade. The woman reaches the door. Her hand is on the handle when Klein speaks again, his voice casual but cutting. "Hey, cleaning lady, you forgot something." She turns. Klein is pointing at a coffee cup on the far side of the table, deliberately placed just out of reach. "I'm not your maid service, but since you're here," he smirks. "Chop, chop." The room is silent. Every officer is watching now, witnessing a power play that's small and petty and entirely unnecessary. Watching to see if she'll comply, if she'll maintain her cover of submissive civility, if she'll give them the satisfaction of seeing her bow. She walks back to the table, picks up the cup, and as she reaches across to grab it, her sleeve rides up. Hayes sees it first, the scar. But more than the scar, ink, dark ink wrapping around her forearm, partially visible beneath the fabric. Not a decorative tattoo, not art, a military insignia. He recognizes it instantly because he wore the same one for 15 years. Force Recon, the eagle globe and anchor with wings, the symbol of operators who deployed to places that don't appear on maps, who conducted missions that never make it into official reports, who died in countries their families are told they never visited. The woman realizes her sleeve has shifted. She pulls it down immediately, but it's too late. Hayes has seen it, and from the way Shaw suddenly goes rigid, he's seen it too. She takes the cup and returns to her cart without a word, but the atmosphere in the room has changed. Klein is frowning, sensing something has shifted, but not understanding what. Brennan is still focused on his display screen, oblivious, but Shaw is on his feet again, and Hayes is staring at the woman with an intensity that makes his coffee cup shake in his hand. Because there's only one reason a woman with a Force Recon tattoo would be working as a civilian administrator in a JSOC facility. Only one reason she'd be cleaning floors and serving coffee to officers who should recognize her. Only one reason she'd be invisible in a place where every face is logged, every presence accounted for, every person identified and tracked. She's not here by accident. She's not here because she needs work. She's here because she's hunting, and the prey is in this room. The woman reaches the door again. This time no one stops her. She leaves, and the click of the door closing sounds unnaturally loud in the sudden silence. Shaw's tablet buzzes. He looks down, and his face goes from pale to ashen. Hayes leans forward, trying to see the screen, but Shaw tilts it away. When the lieutenant colonel speaks, his voice is carefully controlled. "Sir, I need to speak with you privately. Now." Brennan glances up. Irritation is clear on his face. "Lieutenant Colonel, we're in the middle of—" "Sir." Shaw's voice cuts through the room like a blade. "Now." Something in his tone penetrates Brennan's authority complex. The colonel stands, straightens his uniform, and follows Shaw out of the briefing room. The door closes behind them. Through the reinforced glass window, Hayes can see them in the corridor. Shaw is showing Brennan something on his tablet. Brennan's expression shifts from irritation to confusion to something that might be fear. Inside the briefing room, the remaining officers shift uncomfortably. Klein pulls up his own tablet, suddenly very interested in procurement records. A captain near the window coughs. Hayes remains frozen, his mind racing through implications he doesn't want to face. If she's who he thinks she is, if the tattoo means what it means, then she died 3 years ago. Listed as killed in action during Operation Phantom Protocol, a mission so classified that even the existence of the mission is classified. 11 operators went into Sector 479er. 11 body bags came back. Except maybe they didn't. Maybe one of them walked out. Maybe one of them survived the ambush, the equipment failure, the complete absence of backup support. Maybe one of them spent 3 years learning exactly who was responsible for sending her team into a kill zone with faulty gear and no extraction plan. And maybe that person is now inside this facility, cleaning floors and serving coffee, while she builds a case that will destroy everyone involved. Hayes picks up his phone. His hands are steady despite the adrenaline flooding his system. He pulls up a contact he hasn't called in 5 years. A friend at Defense Intelligence Agency, someone who can access files that don't officially exist. The text he sends is simple. Need confirmation on Phantom Protocol KIA roster. Specifically call sign Victor 0447. The response comes back in under 3 minutes. File sealed, above your clearance. Why? Hayes doesn't respond. He sets down the phone and stares at his coffee, watching the surface ripple slightly from the tremor in his hand. Because if the file is sealed above a sergeant major's clearance, if a simple KIA confirmation requires authorization he doesn't have, then someone very important has something very big to hide. And if that someone is in this room, if that someone is about to be exposed by a woman who shouldn't exist, then the next 48 hours are going to be unlike anything this facility has ever seen. The door opens. Brennan and Shaw return. Brennan's face is composed, but there's a tightness around his eyes that wasn't there before. Shaw looks like he's just witnessed a car accident and can't look away. "Gentlemen, we have a situation." Brennan's voice is controlled, but Hayes hears the strain underneath. "Lieutenant Colonel Shaw has identified a potential security breach. We're implementing immediate lockdown protocols for this wing. No one enters or exits without explicit authorization. All civilian personnel are to be detained for verification." Someone asks what kind of breach. Brennan doesn't answer. He's already on his phone, speaking in low, urgent tones to someone on the other end. Shaw is typing rapidly on his tablet, issuing commands to security teams throughout the facility. And Hayes realizes with absolute certainty that they've just made a catastrophic mistake. Because if the woman is who he thinks she is, if she has the skills he suspects she has, then a lockdown isn't going to contain her. It's going to trigger her. And once triggered, operators like her don't stop until the mission is complete. Outside, somewhere in the labyrinth of corridors and offices that make up this facility, the woman is no longer cleaning. She's no longer pretending. The facade has cracked, and beneath it is something that Brennan and Klein and Shaw are about to discover the hard way. A ghost, a weapon, a witness to their crimes. And she's been planning this moment for 3 years, documenting every failure, cataloging every lie, building a case that will survive even if she doesn't. Hayes stands. "Sir, permission to—" "Denied." Brennan doesn't look at him. "No one leaves this room until security confirms the breach is contained. Sir, with respect, if she's—" "That's an order, Sergeant Major." Hayes sits back down. But his hand moves to his belt, checking the weapon he's carried for 30 years. It's there, loaded, ready, and he has a terrible feeling he's going to need it before this day is over. The facility's PA system crackles to life. "Attention all personnel, this is a security alert. Report your current location to your immediate supervisor. All civilian staff report to main security for verification. This is not a drill." The announcement repeats, once, twice, 3 times. Then the PA cuts off, replaced by an eerie silence broken only by the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of boots on tile as security teams mobilize throughout the building. In the briefing room, 7 officers wait. Some check their tablets, some adjust their uniforms, some stare at the tactical map with its incorrect coordinates, its red X marking Sector 479er, its silent testimony to a mission that should have been routine and instead became a massacre. Hayes closes his eyes and sees 11 faces. Operators he trained with, deployed with, trusted with his life. All dead, all buried with honors they earned at the cost of trusting the system that sent them to die. And one who isn't buried at all. The lights flicker once, twice, then the entire wing goes dark. Emergency lighting kicks in after 3 seconds, bathing everything in red. Backup generators whine to life. Someone swears. Brennan is shouting into his phone, demanding status updates. Shaw is already moving toward the door, weapon drawn. "She cut the power," Shaw says, his voice tight. "She's in the system." Klein stands abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "That's impossible. Civilian admin doesn't have access to—" "She's not civilian admin," Shaw's voice cracks with frustration. "The badge was fake. The credentials were fake. Everything was—" The door lock clicks. Once. Electronic systems engaging, then disengaging. The door swings open. 2 military police officers stand in the doorway, weapons holstered but hands resting on them. Behind them, the corridor stretches away in emergency red lighting, shadows dancing across walls covered in official notices and security protocols. "Sir," the lead MP says, looking at Brennan, "we have orders to escort you to secure holding pending investigation." Brennan's face goes purple. "On whose authority?" "Office of the Inspector General, sir. They have opened an investigation into Operation Phantom Protocol. You're being detained as a material witness." The MP's voice is flat, professional, delivering information that will end careers and possibly lives. "Major Klein, you're also named in the order." Klein goes white. "This is insane. I haven't—" "Sir, please come with us." The second MP steps forward. "We can do this easy or hard." For 5 seconds, no one moves. The briefing room hangs suspended in that moment between before and after, when the world hasn't quite processed that everything has changed. Then Brennan straightens his uniform, squares his shoulders, and walks toward the door with the rigid dignity of a man who's already planning his defense. Klein follows, his movements jerky, his eyes darting around the room as if looking for an escape that doesn't exist. The MPs fall in beside them, and the small procession moves down the corridor toward whatever justice or reckoning awaits. Hayes remains seated, his heart pounding, his mind trying to process what just happened. Shaw stands frozen by the door, tablet hanging loose in his hand, weapon still drawn but pointing at nothing. "She did this," Shaw whispers. "She got into the system, filed the reports, compiled the evidence, did it all while we thought she was cleaning floors." "Who is she?" A captain asks the question everyone wants answered. Shaw looks at his tablet one more time, at the file he finally managed to open, at the photograph that matches the woman who served them coffee 20 minutes ago. Her name is Captain Joanna Cross, call sign Viper, Force Recon Intelligence Officer, officially killed in action 3 years ago during Operation Phantom Protocol. He swallows hard. Except she wasn't killed. She survived, and she's been here, in this facility, for 3 weeks, watching, documenting, building a case. Against who? The captain's voice is barely audible. Shaw doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. Everyone in the room knows exactly who. Everyone in the room just watched those men get escorted away. Hayes stands slowly, his legs unsteady. Where is she now? I don't know. Shaw's voice is hollow. Security searching the facility, but if she doesn't want to be found... He trails off, the implication clear. If she doesn't want to be found, she won't be. Operators like her, the ones who survive impossible missions, who walk out of ambushes that kill everyone else, who spend 3 years building a case while pretending to be invisible, don't get caught unless they want to be caught. And Joanna Cross isn't done. Whatever she started today, however she triggered this investigation, whatever evidence she compiled to make the Inspector General's office move against a full colonel and a major simultaneously, it's just the beginning. Because somewhere in this facility, there are more files, more procurement records, more evidence of how deeply the corruption runs, how many people were complicit, how far the conspiracy extends. And Joanna Cross, Viper, is going to expose it all. Hayes moves toward the door. Shaw blocks him. Sergeant Major, we're on lockdown. No one leaves. Get out of my way, Lieutenant Colonel. Hayes' voice carries 3 decades of authority, of missions that Shaw will never have clearance to know about, of a bond with operators like Joanna that transcends rank and protocol. I'm not your enemy, and neither is she. She just brought down a colonel, triggered an IG investigation, bypassed every security protocol we have. Shaw's weapon comes up slightly, not quite pointed at Hayes, but no longer pointed away. I can't let you... A voice cuts through the tension, calm, female, coming from the corridor behind them. Stand down, Lieutenant Colonel. You won. They turn. Joanna stands 20 feet away in the emergency lighting, her civilian clothes replaced by something else, not a uniform. That would be too obvious, too easy to explain away. But tactical pants, a dark compression shirt, and boots that have seen real combat. The tattoo on her arm is fully visible now, Force Recon insignia dark against her skin. In her hand is a tablet, not military issue, but something custom, heavily modified. Shaw's weapon comes up, pointing directly at her. Don't move! She doesn't, just stands there, completely still, completely calm. The red emergency lighting casts shadows across her face that make her look like a different person. Not the quiet administrator who served coffee, the soldier who walked through hell and came back to settle accounts. 3 years, she says quietly. 3 years of serving coffee to the man who sent my team to die. 3 years of cleaning floors for the officer who signed off on defective equipment. 3 years of being invisible while I built a case piece by piece. Captain Cross. Hayes' voice is rough with emotion. He can't quite name. You're alive. Barely. She touches the scar on her neck. IED took out our convoy 30 seconds into the ambush. Faulty night vision meant we couldn't see the enemy positions. No backup meant no extraction. 11 operators died because Colonel Brennan wanted a quick win to pad his promotion packet, and Major Klein wanted to skim money off equipment procurement. Do you have proof? Shaw's weapon hasn't lowered, but his voice has softened. Joanna holds up the tablet. 3 years of documentation, procurement records showing equipment failures, testimony from contractors who were told to falsify safety certifications, communication logs proving Brennan knew the intel was bad, but ordered the mission anyway, financial records showing Klein's offshore accounts. She takes one step forward. And the complete mission log from Operation Phantom Protocol. Everything that happened. Everything they tried to bury. Shaw's weapon finally drops. How did you survive? Training, luck, and 11 operators who died making sure I did. Her voice doesn't waver, but something flickers across her face. Grief maybe, or guilt. They knew I was the intelligence officer. Knew I was the only one who could document what really happened. They created a corridor through the ambush and pushed me through it. Last thing I heard was callsign Reaper telling me to run. The corridor is silent except for the hum of generators and the distant sound of boots as security teams continue their sweep. Joanna stands in the emergency lighting like a ghost made flesh, like vengeance wrapped in tactical gear and military discipline. The IG has everything, she continues. Audio files, video footage, financial records, witness testimony from contractors who were paid to stay silent. It's over. Brennan and Klein are done. And you, Hayes asks, what happens to you? Joanna's smile is cold, tired. That depends on whether anyone else decides to protect the system over the truth. She's looking at Shaw. He's the security chief. He has the authority to detain her, to lock down this situation, to contain the damage before it spreads any further. But he's also a military officer who swore an oath, and standing before him is living proof that the system failed, that corruption killed 11 operators, that the people who are supposed to protect the troops sometimes sacrifice them instead. Shaw holsters his weapon. "You need an escort?" His voice is quiet. "To wherever you're going?" Joanna shakes her head. "I need you to make sure the investigation doesn't get buried. The IG's good, but there are people above Brennan who have reasons to shut this down. Make sure it stays open." "I can do that." Shaw straightens. Not quite attention, but close. The kind of posture that conveys respect. "Captain Cross, for what it's worth, your team would be proud." She doesn't respond, just nods once, turns, and walks down the corridor. Her boots make no sound on the tile. Within seconds, she's disappeared into the shadows, leaving Hayes and Shaw standing in the emergency lighting with more questions than answers. But the most important answer is already clear. Justice might be slow, it might be quiet. It might take 3 years of serving coffee and cleaning floors and being invisible while building an unshakable case. But it comes. Eventually, inevitably, it comes. And for the 11 operators who died in Sector 479er, for the families who were told their loved ones fell in a tactical success that was really a massacre born of greed and incompetence, justice has finally arrived, carried on the back of a ghost who refused to stay dead. Todd's grip tightens on Joanna's collar, yanking her toward the door. The fabric tears with a sound that cuts through the briefing room like a gunshot. Her sleeve splits completely, hanging loose from shoulder to wrist. The tattoo is fully visible now. Force Recon emblem, black ink covering most of her right shoulder and upper arm. The eagle globe and anchor with wings spread wide, unmistakable even under the harsh fluorescent lighting. Below it, a scar pattern, jagged lines from an IED blast, tissue that healed wrong, a reminder of fire and shrapnel and operators who didn't make it out. And etched small beneath the emblem, barely readable, VZ0447. The room goes absolutely silent. Not the silence of attention, but the silence of 15 senior officers simultaneously realizing they've made a catastrophic mistake. Coffee cups freeze halfway to mouths, tablets lower. Someone's pen hits the floor with a clatter that sounds deafening. Hayes is on his feet before conscious thought catches up. "Holy cow!" His voice cracks. "That's Unit Viper's ink." Shaw drops his tablet. The screen shatters against the tile, but he doesn't notice. He's staring at the tattoo, at the serial number, at the scar pattern that matches blast injuries from a mission 3 years dead and buried. "She's supposed to be dead." Todd releases Joanna like she's radioactive, stumbling back 2 steps. His face drains of color as understanding hits. He just put hands on a Force Recon officer, dragged her toward the door, tore her uniform. The kind of mistake that ends careers. Joanna doesn't move, just stands there, sleeve hanging loose, tattoo on full display, breathing in that same controlled 4-count pattern, waiting, watching 15 officers process what they're seeing. Brennan finds his voice first, but it's strained. That could be fake. Anyone can get ink. Not anyone can get that serial number. Hayes moves closer, his hands shaking. He's seen this tattoo before, briefed operators who wore it, watched them deploy to missions that never made official records. V0447, that's Captain Joanna Cross, call sign Viper. Captain Cross died in Phantom Protocol. Klein's voice lacks its earlier mockery. All 11 operators, KIA 3 years ago. 11 body bags came back. Joanna speaks quietly, her first full sentence since the confrontation began. But only 10 had bodies in them. The statement hangs in the air like smoke. Shaw pulls out his tablet, the spare he always carries, and his fingers fly across the screen, pulling up archived files. Mission records that require 3 levels of clearance to access. His face goes pale as data loads. The files here. Operation Phantom Protocol. 11 operators listed as killed in action. He scrolls down. Captain Joanna Cross, Force Recon Intelligence Officer, serial V0447, status KIA, remains recovered. Except they weren't. Joanna's voice is still quiet, still controlled. My remains. They recovered 10 bodies and 1 set of dog tags they claimed were mine, close enough for a closed casket, clean enough to avoid questions. Stone appears in the doorway, Captain Eli Stone, the analyst from Part 1. He's breathing hard, holding his tablet like it's evidence at a trial. I just pulled the biometric records, ran them against base access logs from the past 3 weeks. He looks at Joanna. You've been here the entire time, every day, every briefing, right under our noses. Hayes reaches into his pocket slowly, deliberately, pulls out his phone and opens a photo album he hasn't looked at in 3 years. Finds the image he needs, an old briefing photo from before Phantom Protocol, 12 operators standing in formation. The image is classified, but he kept it anyway because sometimes you need to remember. He holds the phone up next to Joanna. Same face, same eyes, same tattoo visible on her shoulder in the photo. The match is perfect. It's her. His voice breaks. She's alive. Joanna reaches into her pocket, slowly so no one mistakes the movement, and pulls out something small. She sets it on the conference table with a soft metallic click that echoes through the silent room. A challenge coin, silver, tarnished with age and carry wear. On one side, the Force Recon emblem. On the other, engraved text, V0447, Phantom Protocol. Hayes picks it up with trembling hands. He knows this coin, knows that only 12 were ever made, knows that 11 of them are supposed to be buried with their owners. How many people had these? Shaw asks, his investigator instincts overriding his shock. 12, Joanna's voice is steady. 1 for each operator. Unit Viper was a 12-person team for Phantom Protocol. 11 died. 1 survived. Hayes turns the coin over in his hands, and his throat tightens. On the edge, nearly invisible, are tiny scratches, tally marks, 11 of them. He understands immediately. 1 mark for each fallen operator, a physical reminder carried for 3 years. The mission file is sealed. Stone is still scrolling through his tablet. Above my clearance, above Colonel Brennan's clearance, classified under national security protocols that... He trails off, reading something that makes his expression darken. That were invoked 6 hours after mission failure by Brigadier General Frank Morrison. Brennan goes rigid. Klein's eyes widen, and Joanna's expression doesn't change at all, because she's known this for 3 years. Known exactly who sealed the files, who buried the truth, who turned 11 deaths into a tactical success. Captain Cross, Brennan's voice tries for authority, but lands on desperation. If you survived, why didn't you report in? Why the deception? Joanna looks at him, and for the first time, Hayes sees real emotion in her eyes. Not anger, something colder, more patient. Because the mission failed for a reason, sir. 11 operators died because someone sent us into an ambush with faulty equipment and no backup support. Someone who knew the intel was compromised. Someone who ordered the mission anyway. She picks up the coin, turning it so the light catches the engravings. I needed to know who. Needed proof. And the only way to get that proof was to become invisible. Watch. Document. Let the guilty believe they got away with it. You've been investigating us. Shaw's voice is flat. For 3 weeks. For 3 years, Joanna corrects him. The past 3 weeks, I've been inside this facility, but I've been building this case since the day I crawled out of that ambush zone. She pulls out a tablet, not military issue, something custom, and sets it beside the coin. Taps the screen once. Files bloom across the display. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Procurement records. Communication logs. Mission briefings. Financial transactions. 3 years of meticulous documentation. Major Klein signed off on night vision equipment for Phantom Protocol. 60 units ordered, 40 delivered, all from a contractor with falsified safety certifications. She pulls up a file. The equipment failed 30 seconds into the ambush. My team went blind in hostile territory. Klein's face is ash. That's not... I didn't... You took a $40,000 payment from that contractor 3 days after signing the approval. Joanna's voice cuts like a scalpel. It's documented. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, all of it. She swipes to another file. Colonel Brennan received intelligence 48 hours before mission start, indicating heavy enemy presence in Sector 479er. 3 separate analysts recommended postponement. He ordered the mission to proceed anyway. Brennan opens his mouth, closes it. His career is ending in real time, and he knows it. And Brigadier General Morrison, Joanna's voice drops even quieter, he approved both the procurement fraud and the mission order, took the largest cut, and when everything went sideways, he's the one who sealed the files and listed all 11 operators as KIA within 6 hours. She looks directly at Brennan. That's why I didn't report in, sir. Because the people who could help me were the same people who killed my team. The door opens. 2 military police officers enter, but not the ones who were here before. These carry themselves differently. Federal agents, Hayes realizes. Office of the Inspector General. They've been waiting for exactly this moment. Colonel Marcus Brennan, Major Derek Klein. The lead agent's voice is professionally neutral. You're being detained pending investigation into procurement fraud, negligent homicide, and obstruction of justice. Please come with us. Brennan draws himself up, tries for dignity. This is premature. Captain Cross's accusations are unsubstantiated. They've been substantiated. The agent cuts him off. The IG received a comprehensive evidence package 40 minutes ago. We've been reviewing it since then. There's enough here for formal charges. Klein looks like he might run, might fight. But then his shoulders slump, and he follows the agents toward the door. Brennan does the same, his face rigid with the kind of control that comes from knowing you're beaten, but refusing to show it. As they're led out, Brennan pauses beside Joanna. You should have died in that ambush. Sir, Joanna's voice is ice. With respect, I did. The person who died in Sector 479er was someone who trusted the system, someone who believed that commanders protect their troops. That person is gone. What came back is something else. Brennan has no response to that. The agents escort him and Klein away, and the briefing room empties until only Hayes, Shaw, Stone, and Joanna remain. Shaw holsters his weapon finally. What happens now? Now we finish the mission. Joanna picks up her tablet. Brennan and Klein are middle management. The corruption goes higher. General Morrison is still out there. Lieutenant Colonel Warren is still deleting evidence as we speak. She checks the time. We have 38 minutes before the key files are gone forever. Hayes straightens. What do you need? Access codes for the archive server. 3-person authorization, command level or higher. She looks at Shaw. You're security chief. You have 1 code. I need 2 more. I can get the base commander. Shaw is already on his phone. But the operations officer is compromised, Stone interrupts. Lieutenant Colonel Warren. He's been signing fraudulent approvals for 8 years. If we bring him in, he'll refuse the code. Stall until the deletion finishes. Joanna's jaw tightens. Then we need someone else with command-level access. Major Klein. The words come from Hayes, and everyone turns to stare. He's in custody, but he still has active codes until he's formally charged, which won't happen for at least 72 hours. You want me to ask the man who sent my team to die for help? Joanna's voice is dangerous. I want you to make him face what he did. Hayes meets her eyes. Make him choose. Keep hiding behind lies, or do one right thing before his career ends. For 5 seconds, Joanna considers it. Then she nods once, sharp. Let's go. They move through corridors at double time. Shaw leads, his security credentials opening doors. Stone follows with his tablet, tracking Warren's deletion progress in real time. Hayes and Joanna bring up the rear, 2 operators moving in unconscious tactical formation. The detention wing is sterile. White walls, reinforced doors. Klein sits in an interview room, his uniform already stripped of insignia, his face the color of old paper. When they enter, he looks up with eyes that hold nothing but defeat. Captain Cross, his voice is hollow. Come to gloat? Joanna pulls out a chair, sits across from him with deliberate calm. No, sir, I came to offer you a choice. Klein laughs bitterly. What choice? My career is over. I'm looking at federal charges, prison time. There's no choice left. There's always a choice. Joanna sets her tablet on the table, showing him the deletion progress. Lieutenant Colonel Warren is erasing evidence right now, financial records, communication logs, everything that proves how deep the corruption runs. In 34 minutes, it'll all be gone. Good, Klein's voice is flat. Let it go. Let it all go. Is that what you want? Joanna leans forward. You want the families of 11 operators to never know the truth? Want General Morrison to walk away clean? Want every procurement officer in the military to learn that fraud pays as long as you delete the evidence? Klein looks away. What do you want from me? Your access code. Joanna pulls up a screen showing the archive server. 3-person authorization required. Shaw has one. The base commander has one. We need a 3rd. Use Warren's. Warren's the one deleting files. We need someone with command-level access who'll help us stop him. She slides the tablet closer. That's you, Major. One last decision. One chance to do the right thing. Why would I help you? Klein's voice breaks. You destroyed my life. No, sir. Joanna's voice is quiet but absolute. You destroyed your own life. I just documented it. But you can still do something that matters. You can save evidence that will hold Morrison accountable. That will reform procurement systems. That will prevent this from happening to another team. She opens a file, not financial records, not communication logs, a roster, 11 names, 11 photographs, 11 operators who died in Sector 479er. Call sign Reaper, 32 years old, wife and 2 daughters. Joanna's voice doesn't waver, but Hayes sees her hand tighten on the tablet. Call sign Havoc, 28, engaged to be married. Call sign Ghost, 26, kid brother just enlisted, wanted to be like him. She goes through all 11, every name, every face, every life that ended because of faulty equipment and a compromised mission. By the time she finishes, Klein is crying silently. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. You didn't want to know? Joanna cuts him off. There's a difference. You took the money, signed the forms, looked away when contractors falsified certifications. You chose ignorance because it paid better than integrity. Klein wipes his eyes with shaking hands. What happens if I give you the code? Warren's deletion stops. The evidence is preserved. Morrison gets arrested. The procurement system gets overhauled. Joanna's voice softens slightly. And 11 families finally understand that their loved ones didn't die because of tactical failure. They died because of corruption. That's not comfort, but it's truth. Justice doesn't need permission. It needs patience. If this story moved you, share it. And stay close. There are more missions to finish. Stone checks his tablet, his face urgent. Captain, we're down to 26 minutes. After that, even with the codes, there won't be enough intact data to prosecute. Klein looks at the roster on the screen, at the faces of 11 operators who never made it home. Then he looks at Joanna, seeing her fully for the first time. Not as a threat, not as an enemy, as a witness to the consequences of choices he made 3 years ago. If I do this, his voice is barely audible. If I give you the code, it doesn't erase what you did. Joanna doesn't offer false comfort. You'll still face charges, still lose everything, but you'll know that at the end, when it mattered most, you chose right. Klein closes his eyes, takes a breath that shudders through his whole body. Then he nods. What do I need to do? They move fast. Shaw leads them to a secure terminal in the security office. Stone pulls up the archive server interface. Hayes stands watch at the door. And Joanna guides Klein through the authentication sequence. Access code required, the system prompts. User 1. Shaw enters his code. The screen accepts it, prompts for the second. User 2. Stone enters the base commander's code, obtained 5 minutes ago via emergency authorization. The screen prompts for the third. User 3. Klein's hands shake as he types. 8 characters, alphanumeric. The code he's used for 5 years, never thinking it would matter like this. Never imagining it would be the difference between justice and cover-up. The screen processes. For 3 seconds that feel like hours, nothing happens. Then, access granted, files flood the screen. Thousands of them. Everything Warren was trying to delete, suddenly locked behind emergency preservation protocols that even a general can't override. Financial records, communication logs, mission files, procurement histories, 8 years of corruption preserved in digital amber. 23 minutes remaining, Stone's voice is tight. But the files are secured. Warren can't touch them now. Klein slumps in his chair, looking 10 years older. It's done? The evidence is safe, Joanna confirms. Morrison can't bury it, can't classify it, can't make it disappear. For a moment, Klein looks like he might say something, might ask for forgiveness or understanding or some assurance that he's not completely irredeemable. But Joanna's face makes it clear there's nothing more to say. He made his choice 3 years too late. It matters, but it doesn't erase. Federal agents arrive 16 minutes later. Not for Klein, he's already in custody. For Morrison. They find him in his office, calmly reviewing reports, seemingly unbothered by the chaos erupting around him. He looks up when they enter, his expression neutral. Brigadier General Frank Morrison. The lead agent's voice is formal. You're under arrest for conspiracy to defraud the United States government, negligent homicide, and obstruction of justice. Morrison stands slowly, straightening his uniform with the precision of someone who's performed this ritual 10,000 times. On whose authority? Office of the Inspector General. Federal prosecutors are preparing formal charges. The agent holds out handcuffs. Sir, please don't make this difficult. Morrison looks past the agents to where Joanna stands in the corridor, watching through the office window. Their eyes meet, and in that moment, Hayes, standing beside Joanna, sees something pass between them. Not hatred, understanding. The recognition between a hunter and prey that the chase is over. Morrison extends his hands. The cuffs click shut. And as he's led away, he speaks without turning. Captain Cross, how did you know I'd try to classify everything? Joanna's voice carries through the open door. Because that's what I would have done, sir, if I were you, but I'm not. I'm the operator you trained to think 3 steps ahead, to plan for contingencies, to never leave a mission unfinished. She pauses. You taught us well, General, maybe too well. Morrison says nothing else, just walks away flanked by agents, his career and freedom ending in the space of 30 seconds. The facility empties slowly as word spreads. Officers return to duty stations. Security protocols normalize. But everyone knows something fundamental has changed. The ghost of Phantom Protocol walked through their corridors for 3 weeks, and none of them saw her until she wanted to be seen. Hayes finds Joanna in the memorial hall, standing before a wall where 11 names are engraved. Operators from various units. Dates of death all reading the same day 3 years ago. Casualties of Operation Phantom Protocol. Families are gathering, some arriving from off-base, summoned by calls they didn't expect. Mothers, fathers, siblings, spouses, all of them coming to hear the truth about what really happened to their loved ones. An older woman approaches slowly. Reaper's mother. Hayes knows her from the funeral 3 years ago. She looks at Joanna with eyes that have cried too many tears and still hold more. You're Viper. It's not a question. Yes, ma'am. Joanna comes to attention automatically, showing respect to the mother of the operator who saved her life. My son died protecting you. He did, ma'am. All of them did. They created an escape corridor through enemy fire, pushed me through it, held the line so I could run. Joanna's voice finally cracks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I survived when he didn't. Reaper's mother steps forward, embraces Joanna with strength that belies her age, holds tight while Joanna stands rigid, not sure how to respond. Then slowly, carefully, Joanna's arms come up, return the embrace, and for the first time in 3 years, she lets someone see her break. He would have wanted you to survive, Reaper's mother whispers. Would have wanted you to do exactly this. Come back. Fight. Make them pay. She pulls back, holding Joanna's face between her hands. Thank you. Thank you for not letting them bury the truth with my son. Other families approach. Some hug her. Some just touch her shoulder. Some stand silent, unable to speak, but needing to be near someone who was there when their loved ones died. And Joanna accepts it all, letting them see she's real, she remembers. She carries them with her. Ghost's younger brother, now a private first class, stands before her with tears streaming down his face. Why did you wait 3 years? Why not come back sooner? This is the moment, the question everyone wants answered. Hayes watches Joanna gather herself, knowing this is the payoff she's been building toward. Because if I came back immediately, they would have buried me again. Joanna's voice is quiet, but reaches everyone in the hall. Not with a bullet, with paperwork. Sealed files, national security classifications, orders to stay silent. The same system that sent your brother to die would have silenced me. She looks at each family member, making sure they understand. I needed irrefutable proof, needed documentation so thorough that no lawyer could dismiss it, no commander could classify it, no general could make it disappear. That took time, 3 years of watching, of documenting, of being invisible while I built a case piece by piece. But why work here? Ghost's mother asks. Why would serve coffee to the men who killed our children? Because I needed them to forget I existed. Joanna's voice strengthens. Needed them comfortable, confident, making mistakes because they thought no one was watching. Every time Colonel Brennan dismissed me, he got careless. Every time Major Klein treated me like I was invisible, he left evidence exposed. They buried me once. I let them think they succeeded. And that mistake gave me everything I needed to bury them. She pulls out her tablet, showing them files. Thousands of documents, audio recordings, financial transactions, mission logs. 3 years of evidence compiled by someone who died in that ambush and came back as something else. Something patient. Something unstoppable. Your loved ones died because of corruption. Joanna's voice doesn't waver now. Because equipment manufacturers falsified safety certifications. Because procurement officers took bribes. Because commanders valued career advancement over operator safety. That's not a tactical failure. That's murder. And I spent 3 years making sure everyone responsible would face justice. Havoc's widow speaks up, her voice thick with emotion. Will it change anything? Will it prevent this from happening again? I don't know. Joanna doesn't offer false promises. But the procurement system is being audited. Oversight protocols are being reformed. Anonymous reporting channels are being established. And every officer in this facility now knows that if they put profit over lives, someone might be watching. Someone might remember. Someone might spend 3 years building a case and then destroy their career in a single day. She gestures to the memorial wall. Your family members earned these names through courage, through sacrifice, through doing their jobs with honor even when the system failed them. They deserve to be remembered for that, not as casualties of a tactical success, but as operators who died because their leaders betrayed them. The hall is silent except for quiet crying. Then Reaper's mother speaks again. What happens to you now? Joanna looks at Hayes, at Stone, at Shaw, who've all followed her here. The mission continues. Morrison's network had 17 officers involved. We arrested 4 today. That leaves 13. And there are other networks, other generals, other procurement frauds waiting to kill other teams. You can't do that alone. Hayes' voice is firm. Eventually, I'm not alone anymore. Joanna looks at her makeshift team. We have work to do, evidence to secure, witnesses to protect, cases to build, because if we stop now, the 13 officers still out there will learn that corruption pays as long as you're patient enough to outlast the investigation. Stone steps forward. I owe 11 operators. I'll help. Shaw follows. Someone needs to watch your back, Captain. Hayes just nods. Viper doesn't fly solo, never did. For the first time since revealing herself, Joanna smiles, really smiles. The expression transforms her face, showing glimpses of who she was before the ambush, before 3 years of hunting in silence, before becoming a ghost. Then we have 36 hours before Morrison's lawyers start filing motions. She pulls up files on her tablet. We need to secure every piece of evidence his network might destroy, interview every witness who might develop amnesia, document everything before they can spin it into something else. They start moving toward the exit, but Joanna pauses at the memorial wall, places her hand against Reaper's name, closes her eyes for 3 seconds. Then she removes the challenge coin from her pocket, the silver one with 11 tally marks, and sets it on the small ledge beneath the names. Captain, Hayes' voice is gentle. That's yours. It was. Joanna doesn't look back. Now it belongs to them, to everyone who sees this wall and remembers. Let them understand that some prices are too high, some truths are too important to hide. She keeps walking, and the team follows. Through corridors that are different now, through a facility that knows her name, past officers who straighten when she passes, recognition dawning in their eyes. The main gates appear ahead. Outside lies the next mission, the next case to build, the next network to dismantle. But as they reach the gate, a guard stops them. Captain Cross? He's young, barely 20. I just want to say, thank you. My uncle was in Unit Viper, call sign Havoc. We never knew what really happened until today. Joanna looks at him, really looks, and sees havoc in the shape of his face, the set of his shoulders. He was a good operator, one of the best. He always said the Corps would take care of him. The guard's voice breaks. Guess he was wrong. He wasn't wrong, Joanna's voice is firm. The Corps did take care of him. Just took 3 years longer than it should have. She grips his shoulder briefly. Honor his memory by holding leaders accountable, by asking hard questions, by never letting anyone convince you that operator safety is negotiable. The guard comes to attention, saluting with precision that would make his uncle proud. Joanna returns it, then passes through the gate into morning sunlight that feels warmer than it has in 3 years. Her phone buzzes. Encrypted message, no return address. Tower 4 sends regards. 3 units flagged for audit. Coordinates inbound. Viper never leaves a mission unfinished. She shows the message to Hayes. He reads it, and his jaw tightens. Tower 4 isn't a standard call sign. No. Joanna pockets the phone. It's someone inside the network. Someone who knows what we did and wants to help. Or set a trap. Shaw's security training makes him cautious. Maybe. Joanna looks at the road ahead, at the world beyond the wire, at the missions waiting. But if 3 units are at risk, if more operators are about to walk into ambushes with faulty gear and no backup, we have to check, have to follow the lead. Even if it's dangerous, Stone asks. Especially if it's dangerous. Joanna starts walking, and the others fall in beside her. That's what Unit Viper did. That's what we do, until every ghost is laid to rest. Until every corrupt officer faces justice. Until the system that killed my team is reformed into something that protects operators instead of sacrificing them. She doesn't look back at the facility, doesn't need to. The mission there is complete, justice served, truth exposed, consequences delivered. Now comes the next phase, the next hunt, the next 3 years if that's what it takes. Because justice isn't loud, it's patient. And Captain Joanna Cross, call sign Viper, learned patience in an ambush that killed 11 operators and turned one into a weapon that won't stop until the system is clean. The sun climbs higher, the team moves out, and behind them, on a memorial wall, a challenge coin catches the light. 11 tally marks engraved in silver. A reminder, a warning, a promise that some truths refuse to stay buried.